Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Now I've had a lot of people saying that they bought this chunky yarn from Aldi's. Now what I'm going to show you is, if I can find the end, a lot of people are finding this difficult and they don't like it. They've been using it and then ripping it out and just throwing it off to the side. This yarn, I can honestly say, is the horriblest yarn that I have tried to work with. This is a little bit of a nightmare, but I'm going to show you a few tips and a decent stitch that you can use for this blanket. A lot of people have been telling me that this yarn, it doesn't matter, they've tried lots of different stitches, it's catching, it's leaving a lot of catches, and what kind of stitch can they use to use this? They have bought these big 400-gram balls of yarn. It says chunky, but I would actually have labelled this as a super chunky. It really is. It is pretty and it is soft, but it's 12 strands of yarn. Look at that. A lot of people are telling me this is a nightmare to work with. It's a nightmare and it keeps catching. And what can you do? Have I got any tips for using this? Well, I have got a couple of these big balls of yarn, and this is my blanket. Now, I've got this, I'm still working on it. This is my second ball. I'll pop that up there. Now I've been using a 10mm crochet hook, a UK 10mm. If you have a 12, I don't have one. I'm quite surprised that I don't have a 12mm crochet hook. That's what I would have used, because I found anything under a 10mm makes this blanket so thick and it just won't move. It's very, very stiff. Now, with the 10mm, it is a lot better, but I think it would be even better. I think it would suit it much more if it was a 12mm hook. I'm just going to pop that aside just now. Now, um, I've got 53 stitches in this length that I have. It's enough to make a little rug on the carpet if you've got a baby. It's a nice size for putting over your knee, and but it's thick. And I really do wish I had a 12mm crochet hook that I could have did this in. I'm going to show you the little tip that I used for this, and this simple stitch. It comes out, you don't have to use super chunky for this, by the way. You can use any yarn. So if you're saying I didn't get any of the Aldi chunky, but if you've got double knitting or any other yarn, you can still do this stitch, and it's really, really pretty. Look at that. So I'm going to show you my little tip on using this 12 strand yarn that Aldi has brought out. And if you don't like it, feel free to go on Aldi's Facebook group and tell them, or email them and just tell them it's, you don't like it, that it's the the worst charm that they've brought out with all these 12 strands, and it's not even twisted all that well. So anyway, let's go on with this, and I'm going to show you a nice quick tip so that you can use this if you've got it. Don't give up with it. It can be really pretty, and this is a very simple stitch. So like I've said, this is one of the more difficult types of yarn that I've used, because it's quite difficult with those 12 strands that you can see here on it. If you make pom-pom blankets, if you look on my channel, there's an item that's called a pom-pom blanket, and you use a pom-pom loom frame. I think this would be fantastic on it. It's got 12 strands on it, ladies, so you would only need to put about 2 or even 3 rounds on your pom-pom blanket with this 12 strands. I think it would be fantastic for that. So I'm going to show you how I did that blanket. I started off with my slip knot. Now what we're going to do with it is, you're going to keep twisting this yarn a little bit. Just give it a few twists. And what that'll do is that twist will start to move down your strand. And if you keep giving that a twist, just to start with, it will take that twist down there and it's going to help keep those 12 strands together. Now, I did my blanket in sets of 3 chains. Make sure your chain is not too tight and keep twisting that yarn a little bit. Make sure that all your stitches come through. Now, if you get any loops left behind, take that stitch out and then do it again. You don't want to have too many loops all frayed all over your blanket. So I'll do a chain length and I'll do a little sample. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go into the third stitch in my chain. Just do a yarn over and we're going to do a treble crochet all the way to the end. Make sure you just give that a little twiddle. One treble crochet. If you're in the USA, this is a double crochet. Now the problem you're going to get is going through your chain and not catching any of those extra strands. So make sure that when you do your chain, don't do it too tight. Just keep it slack when you do your chain. And we're going to put 1 treble crochet into each stitch. So I've got to the end of my row. Just make sure you keep giving that a little twist. And I'm going to do my last treble crochet in there. Don't do it too tight. Make sure you're giving this a little wriggle like this. And this is what you get. As long as you keep twisting this, it's not too bad. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3 and turn. Now make sure you've got sets of 3. Count them. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 all the way to the end. Into the next stitch you're going to do a treble crochet. So you'll have 2 treble crochets at the beginning and 2 at the end. So that chain of 3 becomes your first one. So what you're going to do for this row, you're going to go around that post, around that big stitch, in that hole and come out that side. So yarn over and go right through, have the post of that stitch at the front of your hook and pull your yarn through. Now wriggle it up, you have to wriggle it up. If you don't, your blanket's going to turn in the way. Yarn over and through 2 loops, yarn over and through your next 2 loops, and you get this nice twist in your blanket. We're going to do 2 treble crochets into the next stitches, 1 in there, and go around that post, 1 in there, and then work around the post. Now around your yarn, we're going to do a treble crochet. Now because this is so thick, you can just go through 1 or 2 at a time and then yarn over and go through. If you struggle, just go through 1 stitch at a time. So that's 1 and 2. So if you're struggling with all those strands, come through 1 stitch and then come through the other stitch. Yarn over and through. So now we're going to work around that post again. So remember and just keep giving this yarn a little twist around. Give it a little twiddle. Twiddle it around, and it helps to hold all those strands together. And behind that stitch, pull your yarn through, wriggle it up, yarn over and through your 2 loops, yarn over and through your other 2. Now if you accidentally catch a strand, take it back out like that. Don't leave it with a strand there, it makes it look untidy. So we're going to do 2 treble crochets Make sure you keep pulling your yarn up. If you don't pull it up, it'll start to turn in like this at the top. So make sure you pull it up. Give it a good stretch up. And then we're going around the next post. And that's what you do to the end. You should finish on 2 treble crochets. Yarn that you have. And we're going to finish with 2 treble crochets. So a treble crochet into that stitch. Just pull it through, make sure you don't catch any extra strands, and then that is your little 3 stitches right at the very beginning. That's your 3 parts of your chain. We're going to go in to the top of that. You might just have to wriggle it around to get yourself in through the right part of that stitch and pull through. Make sure you don't catch any extra strands, and that's it. And that's what it looks like. It's not too bad once you've get this going. It's really thick though. It's really thick. I really wished I had a 12mm hook to do this. 1, 2, 3. You're going to chain 3 and turn. Now what you're going to do with this one is you're going to do a back post here. Because it's on that side, we want to keep that ridge on that side. So we're going to go into the next stitch, not the one at the bottom of the chain, that belongs to that treble. That becomes your first treble crochet. So yarn over and go into the next stitch and do a treble crochet. And that's you lined up with that twisted one. So what we're going to do now is, give my yarn a little twist, just to keep those strands all twisted together. Yarn over and we're going to go through the back of it. Come from the back to the front and then push through. So that big stitch is on that side of your hook. Put your yarn over and pull it through like that. Yarn over and come through 2 of those loops. You can use your fingers just to separate those stitches. Yarn over and pull through those 2. And that keeps your twist on that one side. Don't do it for this side, you'll end up with one there and one there. A treble crochet into the next stitch and a treble crochet into the next stitch. And if you're in the USA, this is a double crochet. You can use any yarn for this. It doesn't have to be super chunky. You can do this little pattern with any yarn. Now we're back to that stitch. So yarn over and we're going back the way. So you're just going down the side, there's a space there. Yarn over, bring your hook through, weave it through to the other side and just pull your yarn. Give it a little shake up. Keep it up here. If you do it too tight, your blanket will curl at the top. And then we'll do our 2 treble crochets all the way to the end. That is how you do this. That's it. It's on a little pattern of 3 stitches. So now we're going to the back. So 2 treble crochets, and now we're doing a little back post. It's called a back post treble crochet in the UK. Yarn over and we're going to do our 2 treble crochets. That's 1 and 2, and it's really quick this as well. And round the back, from the back, and that keeps that big twisted stitch on the one side. We're doing our last back post, pull it through, pull it up, through 2 loops, yarn over and through 2 loops, and we're going to finish with 2 treble crochets. That keeps your edge straight, and into the top of that chain of 3. Then you'll chain 3, 1, 2, 3 and turn, and you'll just do the same again. So for this row you're on the front, you'll be going, you can clearly see it, it's really chunky, and you're just going right through there with your hook. So well, that counts as your first treble crochet, and do into the next stitch your next treble crochet, and then you'll go around that post, around there, from the front this time. It's on the front, so you'll know that you have to go around the front, and when it's on the back you'll know to do the back. Pull through and 2 treble crochets into the next 2 stitches. Well, 1 treble crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. Make sure you don't catch any of your yarn. Yarn over and right through that big stitch. Pull through and make sure you pull up. Yarn over and treble crochet. If you're in the USA or another country, this is a double crochet. Yarn over and work around the post, and that's what you're going to do to the end, and that is how it works out. I'll get my bigger one. So this is how much I've done with one ball. I just need to tie on another one, and you do it very carefully and tie it as close to the knot as you can when you tie on your next ball. So when you're going to tie on your next ball, so what I'm going to do is, I don't want a great big knot. So what I'm going to do is I cross them over, and I'm going to wrap that one right around on that side, and take this one and wrap it right around that side. Cross them over and tie it. So you've got this little twisted part here. It's kind of twisted there. And then what you do is you just pull it really tight. Pull it tight. And what you're able to do, because it's twisted in there, you're able to trim this quite far down. You can trim it right in, and it shouldn't come out. So it's giving it a good pull, and it's keeping it in there. And trim that one, and it gives you a really nice little knot, and it's really sturdy. I'll get my hook back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blanket down along here a bit so you can see that knot disappearing in there. So there's the knot there. So I'm on a forward to the front, and it pulls through. Make sure I get all those little strands. And as you can see, you can hardly, well, you can hardly see that knot the way that I've done that knot, the way I've tied it. So what I'll show you again is, so what I'll do is, I've got 2 more pieces of yarn. I'm going to show you how I did this. I'll just move that so you can see it with the dark. So to tie it with all these strands together, just cross it over when you want to join another ball. Cross it over. Now take this one and just wrap it around that one. And then take this one and wrap it the opposite way around that strand. So you've got this twist. And then tie it. Cross over and just tie it the way you would normally tie your yarn. So you've got that twisted area there. Now just pull it. Let those go, and then just pull that as well. And what that does is it tightens it all in to like a little knot. I don't know if this is a surgeon's knot or not. I don't know. And then when you just trim that in, you can trim it quite close in. as long as you just keep pulling it and it's nice and tight. And if it comes out when you pull it, just try it again and then make sure you wrap. One goes around that way and the other one comes the opposite way, and then you tie it and you get this knot. It's not a great big fray knot and it disappears into your crochet really easy as well. So that's another little tip for you. So my little knot is crocheted right in there. And that is how I used this Aldi yarn, these Aldi yarn balls. A lot of people don't like them, like I said at the beginning. But the little tip for using this, keep twisting it as you're working with it. And if you do get a little loop on your hook, don't leave it. Take that stitch back out and redo it. And then that way you won't get too many loops in your work. And give it a try. This is it's a lovely stitch for a really chunky blanket. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Just click on that subscribe button. Help me get up to 1 million subscribers. That's going to take a jolly turn, isn't it? And then if you click on that bell icon, then YouTube will alert you when I put up another tutorial. So if you've got any comments or if you need any help with this, just leave a comment underneath the video and I'll do my best to answer it. So until the next time, happy crafting, and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.